and welcome to another Zelda podcast. I'm David, your host today, and I am joined today with one of our new cast members for Season 6, Kady Roberts. Kady, how are you?
I'm really good. I'm excited. I lost a little bit of sleep last night because I was kind of nervous. But I'm excited now that I'm here.
Wow. Last night. Oh, because for coming into the show. You know, I still get nervous before every single show, and I've been doing this for 6 years and I'm podcasting for decades. I still get a little nervous, but that's why I always take that little beat. Well, not always. Well, you saw me take a beat, I guess, and then it helps me get in. Celeste and I were talking about you last night. We were talking about the setup today and recording the episodes that we're recording today, and she also was expressing her excitement for you to be joining us this season. Everyone's really excited about your presence. So thank you for taking the time out today and just kind of for joining the team here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I was really surprised when I got like the little email back that you were like, oh my God, like, yeah, come join us. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because I remember way back, like first or second semester, I was here and we had a class together.
I know.
And
isn't that weird?
Yeah. And you were talking about this podcast, and I remember like, oh my God, maybe if I talk enough to him, maybe he'll let me on. and then I hadn't seen you like.
We had that one class, but that was really it.
Yeah, it was just that one class.
Was that radio storytelling?
It was intro to radio production.
Intro to radio. Okay, yeah.
But then you're starting up this podcasting club at the school, and a friend of mine is in that, and they're like, hey, did you see this application? And I was like, oh my God, I have to apply. So I told you this, but I literally like ran out of class right then and like recorded a really quick video and sent it over before going back in. But we
noticed that the audition, I recognized the hallway you were in. It was on floor 2 of the communications building, and I think it was on floor 2 because it had the metal walls there on the side. And it was just kind of trippy because I was like, oh my gosh, I have class there and everything. It was kind of fun. But I'm a little behind the curtain. We did put out a small casting call this season to bring in a couple new members. And so that's what you responded to. And it was fun. Celeste and I had a lot of fun going through all the auditions and watching all the videos. But we knew, I knew you from that class, but I guess we hadn't really like known each other outside of being just classmates yet or anything. I had a sense of your personality, but it's not like we saw each other on campus that much. And so it was really cool to see your energy and enthusiasm about Zelda in your audition. And it was a lot of fun to, it was kind of a no-brainer where we were like, all right, well, Kady's coming in. That's going to be great. So anyway, I'm going to do listener feedback in a second.
Oh, yeah.
But why don't you tell our listeners what we're talking about today?
Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the best vendors in Breath of the Wild on our personal opinions.
Yep, it's a classic favorites episode.
Classic favorites. Starting off really easy for myself. I don't know. Are we gonna do like 5 each or?
Well, so the way I know this is all kind of new, but the way we do favorites episodes is that we generally collect maybe 5 to 8 to 10 things. And we just talk about it in whatever order we want to, whatever we feel like speaking about next.
Right,
whereas, like when we do a top 10 list, it's literally exactly 5, and we go back and forth, and we'll go up to our favorite, our number 1 on the list of whatever.
Yeah.
But today will be just more of a casual conversation. We'll just kind of go through the things we like to talk through. We'll go through our notes and talk about whatever we want to in whatever order. I was running out of air there. That was a long sentence. So yes, so this is a classic favorites episode. You've been in so many. I know.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But first of all, I'm going to do a little bit of listener feedback, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah.
All right. So I have, I think, 5 today, and our first is, let me rotate it here, a comment over on YouTube from Dr. Momo. Dr. Momo says, this is our top 10 trailers episode from season 5, episode 15. This was a fun episode, Kady. Actually, it was a crossover episode with the Switch Clicks. They're another podcast, and they were having like a Zelda month, a Celebrate Zelda month on their show, even though they talk about all video games. Well, basically Switch games, Nintendo games. And we were chatting a little bit online, and we ended up doing a kind of a collab episode where the first half of the episode we did over here on another Zelda podcast. And then, it was the same recording night, but then the second half of the episode we did over on the Switch Clicks feed. And so that was a top 10s episode, top 10 Zelda trailers. So on the AZP side, Dr. Momo here says, oh, so good to see one of these pop up on my feed. Discovered this podcast a few months back and have been listening to it on the way to and from the hospital. The passion y'all have for this series really comes through and makes for a pleasant commute on my end. On the topic of Zelda trailers, I feel like the Twilight Princess trailer is hard to top, although this is mostly my nostalgia speaking, haha. I feel like within my small circle of Zelda enthusiasts, I was one of the few who were okay with the aesthetic we got for Wind Waker. That said, when Twilight Princess was revealed, the darker tone was very much appreciated. I think a close second has got to be the Breath of the Wild release date trailer. It was just really well edited, from the music to the visuals, plus the fact that there was voice acting in it. That was quite a big deal for the series. Anyways, happy holidays to all of you. Stay safe. This message must have been from a couple months back.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you very much, Dr. Momo. So let's see here. The Breath of the Wild trailers. You have not yet played Twilight Princess. I think we were speaking about this.
Yeah, I really want to, though.
I think we're going to find a way. We have many systems here at AZP and many of the literal games, and I think we'll find a way for you to be able to play it. And I actually recommend, I don't know, Kady, I don't know if this isn't a hot take. I recommend you play the GameCube version.
Okay.
Or maybe the HD version on Wii U. We can figure it out. But not the Wii version.
Yeah, I listened to you, and I think it was Celeste. It might have been Kate though, but you guys talk about how you didn't really like the Wii version. It was kind of weird controls.
Yes, yeah, I've said it 100 times on the show, but I'll mention it real quick. I technically am pro trying to think outside the box and kind of pro motion controls. I've said it a bunch. I'm technically kind of pro like, get off the couch, you lazy bum, and jump around a little bit. I'm into that. But unfortunately, most of the time, motion controls are executed in a way where the accuracy suffers, and so then I can't get as excited about that.
They're good for Wii Sports.
Yeah, right.
Wii Sports Resorts. I love that game. I told this to you, but I am currently playing the remastered version of, or the new release version of Skyward Sword.
Yes.
I started playing and I didn't realize you could turn off motion controls, and I was so frustrated I stopped playing the game.
So you started playing with the Joy-Cons?
Yeah.
Oof.
I stopped playing the game, and so then I came back to it and I figured out I could turn them off, and I just restarted my whole game, and I have been loving it ever since.
Yeah, I love it too. I do like that remake or the HD re-release of Skyward Sword. I think it's it's the best way to play it. So yes, Twilight Princess. The thing with original Skyward Sword is they at least tried to have the motion. They tried to build the game around the motion controls, and with Twilight Princess, it was the motion controls were kind of tacked onto the user interface. You know what I mean? So a lot of the times you're doing a wiggle or a waggle when that really is just a button on the controller somewhere. So I do recommend that controller play for Twilight Princess is fantastic. But yeah, it was a great trailer. I don't know. Do you? I don't even know if you probably remember this moment, but there was an E3 where Nintendo, or maybe it was a Space World where Nintendo had this in person, almost the way Apple does their keynotes these days. All this stuff used to be on stages and everything, and they announced and we have one more thing, and this trailer starts to play, and slowly the scenes start. You see a sunset, and then you see Link on a horse, and hundreds of people in the audience. They're all reporters and whatever. Just stand up and start screaming. They were so excited. It's such a cool moment. It's it's so kind of like a moment in history for video games, and I think that's what Dr. Momo was speaking to there as well. I'm going to move forward here. This is Steve Weir over on our Patreon page. He's one of our top tier supporters, actually, our Magical Sword tier, and which means we're here with our Magical Sword people right now. Our top tier allows people to hang out. We've set up a camera, and they kind of hang out with us while we record the episodes, among other things. We actually have a ton. Actually, Celeste and I completely revamped how our Patreon works now, coming into season 6, Kady, and we have a ton of new things. We're doing hangouts with our patrons now. We're doing quiz meetups and stuff like that. We've totally redone how the Patreon works, and I'm so excited about that. So anyway, Steve over here already commented just on our previous episode 1 of season 6 here.
Oh, nice.
The Great Zelda spin-off pitch project. And this was an episode that was a crossover with Fan Fiction, which is another one of my 6.5 shows. And so it was, all of our listeners have heard the episode, but we basically literally rolled dice for picking 12 different game spin-off genres: racing game, puzzle game, fighting game, that kind of stuff. And we gave ourselves 5 minutes, a topic, a genre, to try to pitch what a Zelda spin-off game could be, what would work. It was a lot of fun. We almost did it like a little game show. Now, as you and I are recording this, literally the first episode actually comes out in 2 or 3 days, so you haven't heard this episode yet. I just want to be, so our listeners aren't like, oh, what? Kady obviously didn't start listening to season 6. No, it hasn't come out yet. But Steve here says to this point, he's over on Patreon, says, "This was a fun episode. I love just about all of them. With the sandbox idea, and if it was an idle tapping game, it could be a Malomart themed idea. I could also see a stable themed mobile game where players have to tend to their horses, earn saddles, bridles, and eventually earn Epona and Zelda's white horse. Fun concept. So yeah, Steve's actually adding a lot to one of our genres. One was basically, it was the there was sandbox, but we also struggled a little bit with like party game because there was almost too many ideas. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, how do you do, what does it become, Mario Party?
I was going to say, because I did Mario Party, Pac-Man Party.
Yeah.
I loved Pac-Man Party as a kid, so I could see like a Legend of Zelda Party.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Pac-Man Party. I don't know how to play
it's basically Mario Party, but it's Pac-Man, so it's like Pac-Man and then the 3 ghosts.
Really?
Or 4 ghosts.
Yeah.
You could play as, and then you just go around the board and stuff. It was on the Wii.
What?
Yeah, my cousin had it, and every day whenever I went over to play it, I always debated stealing it, but I was like, no, that's too mean. But I loved that game so much. Yeah, if you ever get a chance, Pac-Man Party, I think it's better than Mario Party, personally.
Amazing. Well, Nintendo and Namco have a pretty cohesive relationship. Pac-Man showed up on the arcade version of Mario Kart and stuff like that. Yeah. And Pac-Man's in Smash Brothers and all of that. Anyway, so we're going to move on here over on, I think this is YouTube. John, I keep taking my glasses off.
I was going to say, it's kind of funny.
I know. Well, it's catching up with me, right? John Lay Music said, and I don't have, the screenshot doesn't have the episode, but let's just go for it. So I'm not sure what episode he's commenting on. Hey, AZP team, thanks for everything you do. I'm a lifetime Zelda fan and found your show when looking for a new podcast to listen to during my paternity leave. Oh, I remember this comment. This was a comment. I did a quick little trailer reaction video on YouTube between our seasons.
Oh, yeah.
And he's commenting on that episode. For a while, I'm pretty sure my son heard more of your voices than mine as I fell in love with the show and played it nonstop with all my free time. I'm always excited every time I see a new episode is released, and I'm still crossing my fingers for a meetup as I'm located in the Chicago suburbs. Your music episodes are always my favorite, and I can't wait to see the Tears of the Kingdom soundtrack. What Tears of the Kingdom soundtrack has to offer. Wishing you all the best. John Lay Music.
Well, we gotta do a meetup now.
I was thinking about doing at least a Chicago meetup this season. Now that we have a few more Chicago members and stuff like that. I tell you what, if we ever find that like 1 or 2 of our other cast members are coming to Chicago, maybe we all just have to get together.
You know what I mean?
We'll use that as like the impetus or something.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, hey, would you like to say anything about the Tears of the Kingdom trailer? The one that just posted a few weeks ago? We don't really do news on the show, but do you have any thoughts?
I am so excited for Matthew Mercer.
As Ganon, right?
Yeah. I was so I watched the trailer and I was like obviously super hyped for it. And I was just excited to hear Ganon voice at all that like I didn't put 2 and 2 together that it was him until I was looking at the comments on YouTube because I like seeing what other people are saying and everyone was talking about it being him and I was like, there's no way. And I went back and listened. I was like, oh my gosh.
Is it official? Is it him?
Or
is
think
it just
so,
like a sound alike?
Yeah.
I think that would make sense. It was Ganon sounded not the way I fully expected him to sound.
Yeah.
Because in when it's just his like grunts and groans, it's always like even when he's like the dude or whatever. And this was more yes,
theatrical.
Hyrule. Let's do it. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, okay, all right, we're going there, but I'll take it.
Yeah, it caught me off guard, but I was like, actually, I could. It's like, sorry, I keep talking about things other than Zelda. But if anyone's seen Sonic 2 movie, Knuckles' voice, I was caught off guard, and then I instantly fell in love. So that's how I feel about the Ganon voice.
I'm perfectly fine with it. I can't wait for Ganondorf to be present in Tears of the Kingdom.
Have you seen those memes about them rehydrating Ganon?
No, but I am excited and interested in how zombie Ganon, mummy Ganon turns into actual Ganon again.
Yeah.
Or Ganondorf, I misspoke. We have one last comment here real quick. Our Hyrule Holidays episode, which was our final episode of season 5. I recorded it with Shane up in Manitowoc. Boy, I'm still a little hoarse this morning. And a man named Babs gave us a quick comment, and a man named Babs is actually Chris from the Hello Hyrule podcast. And in fact, we actually had Hello Hyrule on as a quick little guest appearance on our holiday episode here. So a man named Babs, aka Chris from Hello Hyrule, says, "Great work as always, AZP crew. Hope you all have a great holiday season." I just wanted to be able to recognize Chris there a little bit.
Yeah.
We have one more, but I think we're going to keep moving. I'll save this for another episode. So vendors. What to you is a vendor? Because there was a few times where I was like, is a great fairy a vendor? You know what I mean?
That's what I was thinking, because I will say I have two people. Well, I have one person on my list in an honorable mention.
Okay.
That I don't know if you would fully classify them as vendors, but I do in my heart. So I classify as a vendor as someone that sells you something. And so that is a very broad thing for me, because I personally would classify a great fairy as a vendor.
I see.
Actually,
yeah.
Wait. I don't think I would classify a great fairy, because I think I wouldn't, because they're upgrading something.
Yeah,
they're not really giving you something.
That's true. That's a good point.
But I think anyone that like gives you something in turn for payment would be a vendor.
Like actual commerce.
Yeah.
There's a few. I had a few on my list, and I don't know if I ended up keeping them on, because I think I did try to stay strictly to the rule of like, is a transaction happening?
Yeah.
You know, is something being paid and something's being given or something like that? But there are some gray lines in there. Maybe they'll come up in our conversation.
Yeah.
However, since I was doing a lot of talking there with our listener feedback, why don't we have you pick one of your first vendors you'd like to talk about?
Okay. So I'm gonna do mine in like I have my top 5 vendors.
Ooh.
And then an honorable mention.
Okay. All right.
So I will start out with my honorable mention.
Okay, let's do it.
And this is where we're immediately getting into lines being blurry.
Okay, all right.
But I love this character so much I had to put them in. It is Velia, and she is the one that sells you the Gerudo clothes in Karkar Bazaar to get into Gerudo Town.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think her character is really fun.
Yes.
And I like that it's kind of very drag queen like. And it's just a really funny interaction.
I actually had her originally on my list too, but then I was wondering if it was actually a vendor or not.
Yeah, because like
the boot dude that sells you the sand and snow boots. Yes. I almost had him on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't even think about him. He would have been another great honorable mention, because I was literally I was replaying a bit of Breath of the Wild the other day just to kind of like run around and see some of the vendors.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my roommates was on the couch with me, and he does not know anything about Legend of Zelda. And so I was just going on this full explanation rant about this one guy who sells you these boots because he thinks Link is a girl, and how funny it is that Link is using this to his advantage. But yeah, no, I think I think it's great. I think him and Velia are 2 good honorable mentions.
Cool. Well, maybe we stay in Gerudo Town. One of mine, in no particular order here, one of my vendors that I appreciate and enjoy that I wanted to mention is Aisha, and she's the one that runs basically the earring shop in Gerudo Town. And I actually really enjoyed getting all the different earrings and wearing them as Link. There was one, I can't remember which one. There was like a champion one. I wore the electricity one a ton because sometimes I didn't want to wear the helm or whatever. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just an aesthetic.
It didn't look that nice, so I wanted the earrings instead. Yeah.
And it's also kind of fun how you help her out by giving her some flint right off the bat, and then slowly as you bring more resources,
it's nice to see it slowly build up until you have this full store that you can buy from. Although I do get a little salty because I'm like, okay, I help you build this whole store, you couldn't give me more of a discount. But I get it. She has a business to run. But yeah, my favorite one is definitely the Diamond Circlet, because isn't that what it's called, the Circlet?
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, because isn't that like Champion Resistance or something, or Guardian Resistance?
Resistance.
That's what it is.
Which I know I got to a point in the games where I could easily take down Guardians, but the fear factor was still there, so I didn't like doing it.
I still avoid them.
Yeah, so I would avoid them, and it just gave me a little sense of like comfort that I had that on, and it was also just really aesthetically pleasing. I
wore that thing a lot as well. Yeah, I'm remembering that one now. Let's see, what else you got?
Okay, so at the bottom of my 5 list, I have Sage from Hateno Village. He is the guy that dyes your clothes.
Wow. Yeah. Let's do it.
I put him on here because he is such a memorable character. Like, Indeed. You have to know him. He makes me kind of uncomfortable.
That's what. Yeah. So like he's notable, but he's definitely not a favorite of mine, because I'm kind of like, oh, I gotta go talk to that guy just to change.
Yeah, he's. A part of me is uncomfortable, but the other part of me, again, Kady talking about something other than Zelda, reminds me of Junkrat from Overwatch. And Junkrat I really enjoy, guys. And so when he's like this crazy little guy and he's always doing his little
yeah.
And I think it's really funny how he just drops Link into stuff, and Link is none the wiser.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then to have him when he shows up as like the young version of himself in Age of Calamity, it's just kind of trippy to see.
It's so weird.
He's perfectly fine. I enjoy him too. He's a quirky character. When I first met him, the nose and the pot belly, I was a little off. It was like a little off-putting, and I was like,
teeth.
"Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that too." But no, he's a like maybe like who else is going to be running a dye shop, right? You almost need a character like that.
I'm very glad they included a dye shop in the game because I'm all for customizing your armor and stuff. I just was like so shocked when I walked in because on the outside, you know, they always have like the one like stereotypical like pretty girl character being like, haha, like come into the shop and whatever. I think it's his wife if you talk to her.
It is, yeah.
And so I was like, oh cool, like your husband knows the shop, and I walk in and I see him and I'm like, what is happening?
And she's a bit grumpy, the lady that to let you in, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think she's just like tired of
that's true. Yeah,
everything that's going on.
I shouldn't say grumpy. She's just like, yeah, she's had it.
Yeah, she's had it up to here with his little antics.
I made a new color. He never makes new colors, but I use the dye shop all the time. I love it. When I first started playing Breath of the Wild, every time I got new clothes, because I was still trying to channel classic Link, I would make everything green. I would make all the pants white and all the like the I guess the tunics or whatever green, and then I'd usually try to make the whatever hat he had on green as well. So if he was in his climbing clothes, it was still like green, and then white pants. It was cool. I did that for a while, but then I started kind of like, oh, I got a big kick out of like all of a sudden making everything, you know, black and kind of gray and make Link super moody.
Yeah.
Do you have any go-tos?
Not really. I don't actually customize the colors as much unless I'm really not a big fan. I did like going when I got the Zora water armor. Yes. I liked going back and making it red, so I matched Prince Sidon.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
Sidon and Mipha, just because I thought it was really cute, especially because like Mipha makes the armor for Link.
Oh my gosh.
So I thought it would be cute to kind of be red to match her. But yeah, I don't normally go and customize it too much. I was surprised the first time I did customize it though, not expecting that the entire outfit would turn that color when I jumped in the pool.
Yeah, I see.
And then I had to like take things off individually.
Yeah.
That was a big shock. But yeah, it's fun. It's cool.
Do you have a go-to outfit in general? I mean,
yeah.
At this point, I've collected some of the little amiibo outfits, and I've been slowly collecting the actual classic like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess outfits. So those are fun to wear. But what's your like go-to combination when you're just running around?
I really like the Yiga clan outfit. Or is that a Yiga clan?
The Sheikah one?
The Sheikah, thank you.
Yeah.
The Sheikah outfit I really like. I think it's just really cool looking. But I also like Link's like traditional armor outfit where it's like actual like Hyrule armor.
Wow.
I think it looks really cool.
Dude,
I do not wear it with the helm though, because I want to see Link's face.
I know. I always want to see his face too. Any outfit where it's like it's kind of covering up his face, I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, why I like that headband thing so much.
Just anything that fully covers his face. I don't like it. I like hats and stuff. I think that's fun. Yeah. But yeah.
For a long time, I did like the cape for a while. I think I was kind of channeling, I don't know, a little bit of Lord of the Rings or that ranger character in Lord of the Rings who ends up being the king. I don't even remember his name, Aragon or something like that. Aragorn, I don't even know. But and I kind of like the whole like, ooh, I'm kind of like a moody hooded dude so I made the hood black and all of that in the early days. But I think my go-to right now is I usually do the Sheikah bottoms, I guess you could say, because you get a little bit of stealth and they look cool. My middle part, I think I usually, come to think of it, I usually do Dark Deity Link tunic or whatever, which I think I had to get that one from an amiibo, and then I go with the chic face.
Are you talking about the Link that's like all dark and purple, and then he has white hair and stuff?
Yeah.
He's from the monster shop in Breath of the Wild, I believe.
Oh,
if you trade in enough monster parts.
Yeah, maybe you're right, because you can also get the Dark Link stuff there. It was kind of fun to run around as Dark Link once in a while.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think you might be right. Dark Deity. You know, it's the final mask from Majora's Mask is what that's referencing. I think I usually wear that as my tunic, and then I do chic because I love the scarf in front of the face.
Yeah,
and which was also, I think, an amiibo one. Oh boy, I'm basically just running around with amiibo parts, I think. But I like that aesthetic quite a bit. And then sometimes just a classic Hylian tunic is nice looking. If you make it brown or something or yellow, it's kind of fun.
My question for you really quick before we move on.
Yeah.
Did you end up getting the traditional Link outfit in the game? Because
of the Wild or whatever?
Not that one. Like his old like green outfit.
Well, so if you complete all the DLC or if you find all the shrines, you do get the Cap of the Wild, Tunic of the Wild, and what do they call them? Pants of the Wild? What do they call the bottoms?
Something like that. You get like the classic Link outfit from all the previous games.
Well, kind of. There's a little technicality there. You get the Breath of the Wild interpretation of that tunic, and I did get that, and I do actually often run around looking as normal Link these days when I'm in Breath of the Wild, but technically there's like a Twilight Princess version and a Skyward Sword version and even an original.
Okay.
And all of those you get from the amiibos. And so you have to like scan amiibos a bunch. But yes, you're absolutely right. The final outfit is like because there are small differences. The original Nintendo, the original game version of Link, he's got his little like shorty shorts on, and so it's nothing but knees and ankles.
I really like Skyward Sword's outfit for Link.
Yeah.
I think it's just
he's got the baggy pants instead
he's got
of the
baggy
tights.
Pants. He's got like the little chainmail and stuff. It's very like traditional knight, I guess.
Yeah,
it's
I
cute.
agree. I also I kind of have a sweet spot for the Twilight Princess tunic.
I like
as
the
well.
darker aesthetic of it.
Yeah, a little darker, and he technically has some chainmail on underneath there too. You get to see all that stuff, all the little straps and the little pockets of things that he has.
Intricate.
Finally makes a little more sense. Yeah, and so I think when I'm in Breath of the Wild these days, I do often just kind of put on one of the Twilight Princess outfits or the Skyward Sword. But when I was playing the game proper, it was a lot of Sheikah. Yeah. And then I can't help but not do. And if it's not the Sheik head, a lot of times it's the cape head thing. But anyway, I digress. Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
Let's see. Maybe we can do. Well, I mean, speaking of clothes, I do have Claire or Clary in Kakariko Village, which I had on my list, and she is kind of more that whole like, hey, come to my shop character that you're kind of referencing earlier. But she's nice enough. I wanted to point her out because I think for many people, if they go to Kakariko after the Great Plateau, which you don't have to, but you're instructed to do so. Yeah. She's really kind of the first vendor you meet. And so I just remember that being a special experience where I was, I had gotten some clothes. I got the clothes from the old man on Great Plateau, the little warm doublet or whatever it's called. But this was the first time where once you're just getting used to towns, you're just getting used to like what the game is going to be like. And I remember she hollered out, which is probably a game mechanic thing. That's why she hollers out, because otherwise the players haven't been trained to go into stores yet. Yeah. And I went in, and then I was like, oh, I get to start picking out clothes. I think this will happen more and more in the game. And it was just a nice little moment. So her character is fine, but it's almost more just that shop and that first experience. I kind of wanted to mention it.
Yeah, I remember when I was first playing the game, and for anyone that doesn't know, Breath of the Wild was my first Zelda game. I had no idea what to expect. And so I was running around, and Kakariko Village was my first town. Yep. And I came in, and I was over the moon when I found out you get to choose your own armor. I thought it was something like you would just find it and you'd be given it whenever you needed it. So when I found out I got to customize, I got really excited. And I'm someone that I like to try and talk to all the NPCs and see what they're talking about. So I thought it was really cute. She was talking about her like Clary collection that she was making. I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, totally. Wait, who's the vendor that gets scared and like hides in the corners? That's not in Kakariko, is it? There was someone selling clothes.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
What town is that in? We might have to say that for our next episode, because we're doing regions in our next recorded episode.
I'll have to look for her. Yeah, because I remember being so caught off guard by her, because she like hides behind the door or whatever.
Maybe it's in Hatno. Or is it Hatno or Hetan? I'm hearing more and more people on the internet pronounce it
I call it Heteno.
Heteno?
But that might be a very English way of saying it.
No, I like it. I've been saying Hatno for years, and I think I'm wrong. Because H-A-T would be hat. H-A-T-E is hate. So is it hate-no? Heteno? It's like, where do you put the accent on the A or the E? But anyway, all right. I think she's in, I'm going to say Hatno Village. Yeah. Maybe. But anyway.
That sounds right.
I think let's go to break. Okay. And we'll come back and we'll talk about all the other people. I still have plenty on my list here.
Oh, yeah. I still have like 4 more.
All right. Sweet. Cool. Oh, and then I've got 2 classics. All right. Well, I'll see. Maybe they'll come up organically with you.
Okay.
All right. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Yeah.
It's the first day of school, and I'm walking around downtown Chicago with hundreds of other students. Everyone's getting back from summer break, and you can tell that they're happy to see each other after a couple months. For me, however, it's been a little longer. Hi, I'm David, and I want to introduce you to Returning Student, a documentary podcast that I've been making about my return to a college that I left 20 years ago. I'm back in the same city, at the same school, the same student ID number. Everything else feels completely different. My fellow classmates are literally half my age. My professors work in my industry. Sometimes I wonder why I've come back at all. But then I get the opportunity to sit down with one of my professors and have a conversation with them, which usually yields a little bit of wisdom. You can find the show on all major podcast providers, as well as our website, returningstudentpodcast.com. A lot has changed over the past 2 decades.
Hey, this is TC.
And this is Jim from The Studio Demands It,
a bi-weekly screenwriting podcast where every episode we conceptualize and craft an entire screenplay based on the demands of one of our listeners acting as a studio.
From hypothetical sequels of popular franchises
to reboots or reimaginings of films that deserve a fresh chance.
To hypothetical films that simply must be brought into existence.
Join the creative process over at studiodemandsit.com. Hope to see you there. See...
Well,
I can't see us.
Hope to hear them there?
Hope to hear us there.
Yep.
And we are back. Katie.
Yeah.
What do you got next?
All right. Number 4 on my list.
We're just jumping right back in.
Yeah, number 4 on my list. We got Rolla. She is from Kakariko Village, and she sells arrows.
She's the arrow lady.
She's the arrow lady. She's the lonely arrow girl.
Yes.
I love her character. I thought it was really funny that she kind of has a thing for Link. Because like when you go in, she'll like have you do that little side quest where like you get a bow, and it's just to help you with the mechanics of the game, but you have to like light the different things around the goddess shrine.
Yeah, the little torches or whatever.
Yeah, and then she comes in and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that was so attractive," and whatever. I just thought it was like the funniest thing ever. But yeah, I also like her little letters you can find from Lonely Arrow Girl. I think it's cute.
There is last behind the curtain here. We're recording season 6 a little bit out of order. And so episode 6 was actually recorded last weekend in St. Louis. And Dan, who I recorded it with, Dan and I got a listener feedback about that arrow lady.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil it, but there's a whole connection with her and another NPC, and it's very, very cool.
Yeah, I won't say anything, but I did like look through her wiki page on like the Zelda wiki and learned a little bit more about her, which made her a bit higher on my list because I thought she was really cool.
Nice. Is it about this relationship with another NPC that she may or may not have? Is there anything in the wiki page about that? If the answer is no, that's fine, because this was we had a listener send us an observation. If you like read a couple different diaries, there might be a little bit of a romantic connection between 2 characters.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily say on her wiki who it is. It just mentions that she's like missing her husband and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, we'll leave it just like that.
Okay.
That was a fun episode 6. Wait a couple weeks, listeners, and there was a fun observation about the arrow lady. What was her name again?
Rolla.
Rolla, that's right. Yeah, a lot of Kakariko representation right here.
Kakariko is one of the best villages, in my opinion.
I do love it. I love it. I just
so
walk around it. Like Hatno or whatever feels like the most realized village in the game. But Kakariko, the first time you get in there, you enter from above, and you're probably on a horse, because they kind of taught you how to get a horse before getting into Kakariko, and you probably are just strolling in nice and slow. I remember my horse kind of just walking down the hill path towards Impa's house, and I was another one of these moments where it was like, oh, this is how towns work in Breath of the Wild. Oh, this is cool, because it was a little different. It was the first time. Okay, maybe since the Adventures of Link. Well, there is Kakariko in a couple other games, but for me, a lot of times towns in Zelda games, they're slightly abstracted, like the Zora's Domain or even Goron City or whatever. It's like, okay, I get it. This is or under the Great Deku Tree. You're like, okay, I get it. This is a quote unquote town or market or something. But Kakariko feels like lived in. It feels like you can see people's lives in Kakariko Village, where I think Zora's Domain is beautiful in Breath of the Wild, but it's kind of like, how do people live here?
Yeah.
It's a bunch of walkways.
I feel like also in Kakariko, the NPCs are more open as well, where like you can see the different families, like the two little girls and their dad, and like you can find out like their whole lives and like everything up with their family and everything just from interacting with them and doing little side quests. And I think that's why I like Kakariko so much, because even Hateno and like is it Lakiru? There's another like ocean town.
Maybe I'll speak to that next then.
Okay. But those towns are great, but like even the NPCs are not as open as they are in Kakariko.
Yeah, Kakariko's well designed. I think they knew that you were going to spend a lot of time there. In fact, I know that you enjoy Age of Calamity a lot. We've been talking about it behind the scenes, and I got a little sour on Age of Calamity for a while, but I've been forcing myself to play it again over the past week or so, like even kind of warming up for us recording today, but just in general, I was like, Kady does, like, I'll give it another shot or whatever. And I just played a mission where you're protecting Kakariko Village.
Yeah.
And it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, there's a ton of really cool missions like that in Age of Calamity. They can be kind of hard. I will say I've unlocked like all the characters in it, but Link is just still my favorite one to play as.
I usually play as Link as well. Sometimes I'll jump around to a little bit of Impa sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Link is my favorite. Prince Sidon is pretty good if you want to be like heavy hitter.
Yeah. I actually just unlocked him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
he's huge.
He's huge. He's so big.
It's easy.
Oh, just wait until you get further in. You'll see how big they keep getting.
What?
Like there's going to be one you unlock that's like humongous.
Well, now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Cool. I think I'm just over halfway through the game right now, based on what I think I know about the story. So anyways, let's go to, I think you were speaking about Lorelin Village, perhaps, the one down by the ocean.
Yes, that's what it was.
The one that's like not even an official town
I was
on
saying
purpose.
Lakitu, that's from Mario. Lakita's the Mario character.
Yeah, you're right. Wait, are you talking about Lactu?
Lactu. Okay, anyway, the correct village, yes.
Lorelin is what I say.
Lorelin.
By the way, I'm going to say officially, I like the Hateno pronunciation. I'm going to try doing that from here on out. When we first started making this show, I definitely pronounced Ocarina of Time, not Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Like the first episode or two, I was like, well, Ocarina's a lot of fun.
That's I told you I pronounce it Deku Tree because of My Hero Academia. I thought that's how you pronounced it.
I say Deku.
You do say Deku?
Oh, wait, you mean instead of like Deku?
Deku. I say Deku.
I think I say Deku.
You do say Deku.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you do.
You do. You said it earlier. And then I was like, oh, man, I'm saying this wrong.
No, we have a stance here at AZP. We've kind of said this officially. There is one of the things about another Zelda podcast. We're becoming mega fans of the games, and we were big fans even when we first started making the show. But we're fans, not experts, and in that vein, I think unless there's an official pronunciation by a voice actor, like a character saying a certain pronunciation.
Yeah, I think
like
they do in Breath of the Wild. I just don't remember how they said it, because at one point they mentioned going there, or in Age of Calamity.
Oh wait, no, you're right. I'm sure at some point Zelda's like, we must go to the Deku Tree.
Yeah, because also in Age of Calamity they have like a whole battle protecting that forest in it. I don't know if you've gotten there. But
yeah, well, there was that kind of new character that you have to kind of
so
fight.
like they had to have said it, and I just forgot how they pronounced it.
But we let people pronounce. I mean, Celeste, I was recording an episode with Celeste, and she was saying instead of Kakariko Village, it was like Kakero or something. Everybody says it however they want because they're reading it, and so we let people whatever you're most comfortable with. However, over in Lorelin Village, I would like to talk a little bit about Mubs. Now, Mubs, it's okay if you don't remember exactly who this NPC is, because for me, Lorelin Village on the whole actually is a standout village. There was a time where my young niece, who she's 10 now, but when she was like, I don't know, 7 or something, she was playing Breath of the Wild, she would just, for months, just play in Lorelin Village. And she would be like, well, this is my home. And she would show me, like, she would walk into one of the houses and decide that was, basically, she was like playing Dollhouse, but inside a video game in Breath of the Wild. And she loved playing it. And she didn't even leave. She would just go into the ocean and come out, climb up the cliffs and fly down, talk to some of the people. She couldn't really read the NPC dialogue yet.
Yeah.
Her entire experience of Breath of the Wild for a while was just Lorelin Village. But anyway, I digress. Mubs is one of the vendors that's out on the pier. And I just think that pier is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's like a market and stuff like that. I've actually used that pier as backdrops for our AZP videos on YouTube and stuff. But the one standout is that Mubs is one of the few NPCs, if not the only, that actually sells electric arrows in bulk.
Yeah,
so that's kind of a nice little thing to know. If you need arrows quick, if you don't want to go up and sneak them around the Lionel over in Zora's Domain.
Bad.
That was a standout moment for me first time I played Breath of the Wild. I was legitimately scared.
Mm-hmm.
It was very cool. But anyway, yeah. So Mubs and by extension Lorelin Village. But I think it's also another one of these markets where the graphics make it feel real. It feels well realized, not just like 5 items on a countertop or something.
Yeah.
Actually, you can kind of see the stands that were built and the canopies and everything. So, Electric Arrows, let me knock Mubs off the list here. Laurelin Village. You have anything in Laurelin? Any NPCs?
Not really NPCs, but I did really like the kind of like chest guessing mini game. You can do to try and get more rupees.
That's a throwback to the original Zelda game.
Yeah, I really liked that. I think that was fun.
I don't know what you're talking about. I gotta find that. I don't know if I did that. And I've been in Laurelin Village a lot. Is it in one of the huts or something?
Yeah, it's one of the huts. I believe it's like you pay a certain amount to like do the game, and then you have a chance of getting like only like 1 rupee back, or you could get like 100 rupees back, and it's like these 3 chests, and it's random every time.
Yeah.
So it's not a game of skill, but it's fun.
I had really traumatic events with that mini game in the original Legend of Zelda, the one back, from the 80s. And I lost so much money as a kid just by accident picking the wrong chests that now I'm realizing it's entirely possible that I went into this hut in Laurelin Village over the last 5-6 years of this game being out, saw the 3 chests and was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what happened.
Probably.
And I wiped it from my memory.
Yeah, no, I remember the first time I did it, I was like, oh, I'm doing so good, whatever. And I lost so much. I was like, okay, I'm done. I can't anymore. It's like a gambling game.
It is. It is literally gambling. Yeah.
I was like, I can't. I got to go.
Yeah. Well, now I'm going to go check it out. Next time I'm in Breath of the Wild, I'll go take a look just because we talked about it.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Okay, so moving on to my third. We got Prima from Hateno Village. She's the one that you have to do the cricket quest for, where a guy you meet has a crush on this vendor named... She works at
the hotel. She's the
hotel,
the host or something, right?
Yeah. So I guess you could debate if she's a vendor or not, but I really love her, so I had to.
This
put
is
her
who
in.
it is. Is it Prima?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's talk about it. I don't have her on this.
Yeah, so the guy outside has a huge crush on her, and she won't talk to him. So you as Link have to go and figure out what she likes. And so starting out with this quest, you have to go behind the counter, and she is already like, "You are the weirdest dude I've ever met. What is happening?" She is so snarky, and I think that's really funny because Link then he goes behind the counter, and she's already like, "Why are you back here?" And he's like, "What's your favorite thing?" And so she's like, "What is happening?" So she says crickets, because she's like, "What's the weirdest thing I can say to get this guy to leave me alone?" And so then Link obviously goes back and tells this guy crickets, and you have to collect like 99 crickets or like something crazy, a lot of crickets, and bring them back to this woman. Which I feel so bad for her, but I just think she's such a funny character.
Yeah.
I think her design is really cool too, and she's just always been very memorable to me, because in the game a lot of people really like Link. Like they go out of their way to be like, "Oh, Link," or like the forgotten hero and whatever.
That's true.
And she does not care for him at all, and I think that's really funny.
Isn't it? You can speak to her from the other side of the counter, but but that's just normal hotel business, right?
Yeah, if you speak from the other end, she's just like, "Oh, it's a customer," or whatever, and then she'll like talk to you normally. But if you come around the counter, that's when you initiate the quest, and she's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, doesn't she say something like, "Excuse me, you're on the wrong side of the counter"?
Yeah, she goes, "You're on the wrong side of the counter," and then you're like, "What's your favorite item?"
Well, creepo, crickets. I'm seeing if I have any more Hateno. I'm trying to get used to it. No, I don't think I do. I have a few others here. A little bit of Gerudo. Oh, I've got a Goron City. Let's try that one.
Oh, yeah.
Ramella in Goron City. And... Wait, why did I put this in here? Oh, right. Ramella is a Gerudo who hangs out in Goron City. Oh, okay, I've got it in my... Okay. The reason she's a standout, so she's one of the Gerudo that travels... every town has like a few of the other the other areas that they travel to. But the thing that stands out for her is that if you're trying to make a lot of money, she buys rocks from you at a way higher rate than any other vendor. So she's a little bit of a standout there. So what some of these vendors that I'm doing, I was researching vendors that have like when I play Breath of the Wild, I kind of play it, I guess you could say theatrically, meaning I don't try to game the game too much. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can, if it rains, you can, obviously, you can sell things, you can do that. But sometimes people will talk about, like I remember with in an episode, maybe last season or maybe it was season 4, it was a crossover episode with the Zelda cast. we were talking about how Mount Satori is this great spot because you can get all the resources you need technically.
Mhm.
And I remember as we were chatting about it, I was like, oh, I don't think I've ever even noticed that. I don't even,
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm like necessarily thinking about my inventory much. I'm kind of play acting or whatever when I play Breath of the Wild. And so a lot of these NPCs, when they have these special traits, I don't know if I totally noticed them. However, there are times where if you're like, man, I just need a lot of rupees or something.
Mhm.
Actually, my niece is trying to buy the house in Hateno Village right now. She's
Mhm.
gone from Laurelin to Hateno, and maybe I could send her towards Goron City, and Ramella will buy all of her rocks for a higher rate.
So that leads me into my second favorite character in Hateno, Bolson. He is the guy that builds the house for you.
So I almost had Bolson on my list, and then I kind of thought, like, I don't know if he's a vendor, but I guess he is. He's a contractor.
Yeah, I love Bolson, and I love Bolson's company. I think it is so funny, and I think his design is such a standout. And I don't know, I just think it's really funny that it's just these three guys that hang out outside of Link's house. Because even after you get all of like the things you can build in the house, they still just stay there. You can just still like sit and talk with them and whatever.
That's true.
But yeah, I really like Bolson. I think it's so silly, and I loved talking with him. Even if I didn't have something I needed built, I just enjoyed talking with him because he was so different than everyone else.
Bolson popped up in our spin-off episode last week. And it was one of our, like, basically we had to make like a SimCity style game was what the spinoff was.
Okay.
And we were like, it's Bolson. He's building his houses. And I think like we figured out that his final, he would start with his little block houses that he builds. And then slowly he would get more resources. And then finally like the ultimate goal is like build a castle or something like that.
Yeah.
But we actually made Bolson be the main character of a Zelda spinoff game in that episode. It was a ton of fun.
I would play that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I'm a huge fan of anything that's customizing in games. I think it's great. So when I found out not only could I customize my clothes, I could buy a house and customize a house. I was so excited. Yeah. I spent so much money on getting everything in the house, but I don't regret it.
Yeah, I agree. I was wishing for even more with the house customization.
Yeah.
I was like, let me do wallpaper, let me do
I was like, let me turn this into The Sims.
Yeah, basically. And now this is David's turn to talk about something that's not Zelda. My nieces and nephews, for Christmas I got them the Disney Dreamlight game along with a couple other games, but that one does have like full room and house customization, and they just love it. They have so much fun doing that. But again, that's not the game that Zelda is.
That's not really Zelda, but it could have been like the cherry on top.
Like even Terrytown, I kind of wish I could pick where the houses go or the buildings, but it's okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but yeah, I get it.
I have a few more. Let's see here. Let's start ramping up.
Yeah, ramp up.
Well, here's a weird one. Anshi is the one who runs the Northern Ice House in Gerudo Town, and I saw on the internet someone point out one day that it's the quest where you have to take the big huge ice cube and bring it to the bar in Gerudo Town or whatever so they can make the drinks, and you have to do it before the ice melts because it's hot out. And it seems obvious, well, shouldn't you just transfer the ice at night when it's cold in the desert?
Yeah.
But of course, Anshi is asleep during the day or sleep during the night. And and I think that's a gamey-wamey way to like make sure that you don't do it at night. But boy, oh boy, if she could just stay awake a little longer or change her sleep schedule, it'd be a lot easier to deliver that ice to the town.
Yeah, I think that's great in the game that they do things like that, though. Like, they don't just tell you, like, no. They will come up with the reason why you can't.
Yeah.
Like that one quest shrine, like you can't get into the shrine because she's passed out over it. She needs her drink. Yeah. So you have to do this whole quest line. I like that kind of stuff. I think it's fun.
I do too. So anyways, let's see. I have one more and then I have my two tops that I think we'll talk about. Mm-hmm. But you have what, one or two more?
I only have one more.
One more? Okay. So here's another kind of maybe a little bit honorable mention. Oh, speaking of Terrytown, I feel like we should at least mention Grante, who's the guy who who works at the quote unquote secret shop after you build Terrytown and stuff. Yeah. The only place where you can get your Hyrule or Hylian shield back if you lose it. Mm-hmm. And apparently, I've never done this. I did use him. So there was a time a couple years ago. I've been talking about my nieces and nephews a lot in this episode where said niece of Laurelin Village was actually playing my file, not her file. And I had the Hylian shield, and she was running around like one of the horse stables and got fully attacked by some electric geese dropped the sword, dropped the shield, kept running around. I didn't notice that this happened. And then I loaded up my file one day. And maybe I could have gone to a previous save or something, but I loaded up my file and I was like, where's my shield? Where's my what? I had, accidentally I'd lost all my special things. And so I did actually use the secret shop in Tarrytown and bought the shield back. But apparently, and I read this on the internet, I don't know this, apparently you can also buy some of the other higher end armor classes, like the rubber suit and stuff like that.
Oh.
So apparently some of the things that you can get in shrines, you can alternately get at the secret shop.
I didn't know that.
And one of the details here is you can't buy the Hylian shield at the secret shop unless you've already got it from the the basement underneath the castle. Then it activates. I think that's just kind of a failsafe. It's a way to get your shield back. But some of these other suits, apparently, allegedly, you can buy them from the secret shop even if you hadn't found them already, of course. So I might give that a little try. I don't know. Maybe it might.
Yeah.
Oops. Oh, our little timer's telling us to start recording the next episode in a half an hour.
Oh.
We're doing just fine. Okay, so that's it for I've got two big ones. What's your top? Because I'm sure it's one of these.
David. Come on.
Is it who we think
Do
it
you
is?
even have to ask who my
the
favorite
person
vendor is?
That's at the top of my list as well.
Oh, I hope he's on the top of your list. It's the love of my life, Beetle.
It's Beetle for me too.
Beetle.
Of course.
I mean, come on. He literally says that you must have been soulmates in another life. He is the best character. Breath of the Wild was my first game for Zelda, and so I didn't know Beetle from anything else. Although when I started playing Skyward, I got really excited because Beetle was in the game.
Thank you.
So I only knew him from Breath of the Wild, so I was like, oh my god, you're the sweetest guy ever. You're so fun. You're so weird looking. I like your Beetle backpack. And so anytime, because he like randomly shows up places, whenever I would go somewhere and he'd randomly show up, he is the first person I would dart to talk to. I wouldn't even have anything to sell or buy from. I just wanted to talk to him.
Oh my god, I love this.
But what I was doing the other
this.
day, I forgot he did this. Every now and then he'll do something he calls Customer Appreciation Day, where he gives you a free item.
No, I've never experienced that.
Yeah, I was messing around playing it the other day, and he did that. He's like, oh, like, customer appreciation, here's a free item, and he gave me I can't remember what he gave me, but it was a good item.
I have to talk to Beetle a little more.
Yeah, and then obviously he's like obsessed with those electric rhino beetles, and just beetles in general.
Oh, of course, yeah, the Beetles, yeah.
Beetle. I could talk about Beetle all day. I love him so much.
One of the things that I appreciate, one of the things both Celeste and I spoke about, we have a lot of different Zelda players, different styles of play in our cast this season, and people that have experienced Zelda in very different ways. For example, I literally played the first Zelda when I was in like 3rd grade, and I've been playing them all basically in order over the last 25, 30 years. And then we have other people, Dan has only played Ocarina and then Breath of the Wild, and now he's playing Link's Awakening, and he's going back in.
Yeah.
And then we have other people. Andy, his first Zelda game was Spirit Tracks because he had got it as a gift or something like that. And so everyone has a different story as to how they're introduced to this series, and it informs how they meet these characters. And so when Beetle's first appearance was he was just a merchant on a boat in Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
And he would also it's his nature, would kind of randomly show up as you were going around the ocean. And it was fine. And then I remember when Skyward Sword came out, it was like, oh, Beetle's back as the vendor.
Yeah, Beetle's Air Shop.
Yeah. And then when I was playing Breath of the Wild and he popped up at one of the horse stables or something, I was like, what? Beetle's back. And I felt so great about that. So now this is so interesting because you met, I enjoy Beetle in Breath of the Wild because of a little bit of the nostalgia, I guess, a little bit of this connection. But you organically enjoyed meeting Beetle in Breath of the Wild for the first time.
Yeah, I liked his character a lot. I feel like they gave him so much character. And obviously his little things of oh, we keep bumping into each other. We must have been married in a past life. And those little lines of oh, we're best friends was a tie back because he had been in these previous games, so people knew who he was.
Yeah.
I didn't get that because I didn't know he was in these other games. So I just instantly was oh my god, I love you so much. You're so sweet. And then I went back and I started playing the HD Skyward.
When you were playing HD Skyward, did you know Beetle was in there, or did you just go up in the shop and all of a sudden you're like, what?
Yeah, because they mentioned Beetle's Air Shop. I was like, oh, that's so funny.
A little reference.
And then I went up and he was in there and I was losing my mind. I think I ran around the room. I was like, oh my god, he's here. And I thought it was so funny seeing him on his little bicycle pedaling away.
Yeah. And he sometimes if you don't buy anything, he gets a little mad at you because he's pedaling so hard. Have you ever traveled to his island at night yet in Skyward Sword?
His island?
Where he lives.
I've never been to his
So
island.
you need to go back. You need to go back in Skyward Sword. I'm not telling you, but this was one of the most special moments. I even spoke to it in a previous episode last season with Kate. One of my favorite moments in Skyward Sword is that Beetle does have an island out in the space, whatever. And if you go to bed during the day, if you take a nap on the bed that's in his shop, you'll travel with him back to his island, and you'll wake up at night, and it's a really sweet little thing. He has a little campfire, and you get out of the shop, and you kind of explore this tiny little island. I think there's an opportunity to get a gratitude crystal out of this experience, but he is just chilling by the fire. He's like mega relaxed. He is still Beetle, but he's like in his off hours. You know what I mean? And he's just like, oh, I like it out here. It's peace and quiet and stuff. It's really sweet.
Oh my God, I have to do that. I'm only like a third of the way through Skyward.
That's perfectly fine.
I'm gonna do that.
I think at any point, if you just go to bed, if you just choose to sleep on the bed that's in his shop, I think this will trigger. And
oh my gosh, I'm doing that tonight.
It was sweet. Like literally sweet, not the 1990s, like sweet.
Yeah.
It was a really special moment. All right, Beetle, yeah. I don't know if there's any more to speak about. I don't know the reason he keeps showing up. He's a little bit like Tingle. There's this kind of like sometimes Tingle keeps showing up and then people didn't like Tingle. I think people do like Beetle. I've liked Beetle increasingly more. Yeah. Like when he was in Skyward Sword again, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And the first time I played Skyward Sword, I didn't know that you could go to his home, I guess. I only found that out when I played the HD version. But I think in general, people enjoy Beetle. It seems like it. Usually people, even though he's a little quirky and he's got the kind of the quirky voice and everything, he's just so happy in Breath of the Wild and so happy to see you. It's like, how can you not like this guy?
Yeah, I hope he shows up in the next game.
Well, that's a great point. As this episode comes out, Tears of the Kingdom hasn't come out yet, and when this is releasing, and we know that it's still in the same Hyrule that's in Breath of the Wild. We know that it's like the same map and stuff like that. I would be very happy to see Beetle again. Yeah. Or still, I guess, right?
Yeah.
All right, I guess I have one more honorable mention.
Who's your top?
What's it?
Is this your top? Or
well, I'm not, because it's a favorites episode. It's not fully. It's not totally. There's no like top. I think Beetle would be. Let me put it this way: when I was building my list, Beetle's the first one I thought of.
Okay.
So he's at the top of my list in that literal sense. But there's one more here, and I think we should talk a little bit about Kilton.
Oh.
Have you experienced Kilton much yet?
I have.
Oh yeah, we spoke about it earlier
He was on my list originally, and I took him off because, well, say just quirky and kind of uncomfortable in a fun way. Kilton just made me really uncomfortable. I just literally went to him to sell enough to get the armor and like special items that he had, and then I never went back.
I had a very similar experience. I'd get the armor I wanted, and then sometimes, I mean, I get it. I think he's supposed to be a little creepy. He's not. Yeah. He's aesthetically creepy. I don't know if his personality's creepy. He seems nice enough. He's kind of creepy in like the Tingle way, I think, a little bit, actually, now that I think about it, where it's like he is too nice. And doesn't he have like he makes the back of his head look like a face. His hat looks like a face when he flips around. Then he's got the googly eyes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's just weird, man. It's just really weird.
I also will say that with Kilton, I mean, it's also interesting because he has his own little economy. So there's a little bit of like you're trading currencies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fun. But after a while, sometimes in the evenings when I would see his shop off in the distance appear at one of the towns or something like that, I'd get a little chill.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh no.
Maybe I don't want to go over there.
Yeah.
But of course you discover him. You trigger his movement around the map by finding him over at Skull Lake or whatever it's called. Yeah,
you have to go over to that and do like the shrine with all the Lionels and everything.
Oh around. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then, but there are some fun things that you can get from him. It is fun to get the Dark Link armor set. That's nice. Which I think, if I'm not mistaken, you run faster at night if you wear that or something like that. That's kind of its perk, I think. At night you run, whatever it is, twice as fast or whatever. And it's just fun to be Dark Link too sometimes.
Yeah, it's just a cool aesthetic.
That's a throwback to The Adventure of Link, which is the first time Dark Link popped up. But anyway, so that's kind of it for me. We're almost at time. Any other comments about vendors in Breath of the Wild that you'd like to make?
I don't think so. A lot of them are very memorable. A lot of them are really cool, even if they are like just one-time people that you'll go and talk to. And I think that's why Breath of the Wild did so well, is because all the NPCs were pretty memorable.
There's a lot of personality in almost all of them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think I cut you off there.
No, I was just gonna say it's great. I love Beetle. That's what I'm gonna leave this at. I love Beetle.
So we need a Beetle mini game now. Is what it sounds like. A side quest game, or not a side quest, a spin-off game. Yeah. Cool. Well, Kady, thank you so much for joining us for your first episode on Another Zelda podcast. If people would like to find you out on the internet, is there anything you'd like to share?
Oh, yeah. You can follow me on Instagram. It's mind_of_Kady, Kady. I have a really weird name. And same thing, Kady Roberts.com if you want to see any of my stuff. But yeah, this has been super fun.
Cool. People can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at RaptorPaint on both. If people want to find the show on Instagram, it's Another Zelda Podcast. Twitter is Another Zelda Pod. And of course, you can just go to our website these days. We have links to all of our stuff there. Our website, AnotherZeldaPodcast.com. We have our blog articles. We have bios for all the people in the cast. Thank you for submitting yours the other day, by the way, Kady. I sent it over to Celeste, and I think she's got it up on the site. And we have, some of our little kind of side videos are on our website. It's just a fun place to be.
It's so fun.
AnotherZeldaPodcast.com. That is it. I think I'll see you in a couple episodes where we'll be talking about the regions of Breath of the Wild. Yes, that was interesting too, because it's like, well, are there 4, 8, or 15? But I guess we'll speak about it in the episode. All right, Kady, thank you so much.
Thank you.